Am I the asshole for making inappropriate noises when my mother-in-law called my husband's phone at 2 a.m.?
Yeah.
My husband Kevin and I got married months ago. Ever since we moved away, his mom started calling more often. She had a mental breakdown when she heard we were moving. She begged we stay near because she, quote, needs him, even though her 2 older sons are there. She'd call at random times, then start calling in the middle of the night, specifically at 2 a.m. I thought that was so weird, but she said she wanted to hear Kevin's voice, but was too busy to call during the day. Kevin responds to her call every time, saying he's worried there might be an emergency. It's exhausting and completely ruins our alone time. I asked her to call at like 10, but no, she kept calling at 2. Kevin said he can't bring himself to ignore her calls and asked that I be patient. Last night, I decided I wasn't having it.
My son was whining about how his head hurts, so I said to him, "Grow a pair. You're a man," as a joke. But he of course took it seriously and went up to his room. For lunch I cooked him my signature steak, something we hadn't eaten in a long time, but he refused and said he wanted some soup or sushi. I got mad at him and thought how ungrateful he was that I had done all of this for him and he wasn't even respectful enough to eat it. That's when I saw him going through my wife's cabinet looking for an aspirin and Theraflu. I asked him what he was doing and he said he was taking some medicine. I told him that he wasn't. Our bodies are meant to naturally heal themselves and not have those artificial cancers in our body. I insisted he tough it out for a day and that it was emasculating to take a pill, but he was persistent on taking the medicine. I had had enough. I told him to get in my car and that's when I drove him to the forest we used to love hunting in. I told him to find his way home, because he needed to toughen up. He was becoming such a little wuss and I always wanted my son to become a man like his father. I obviously didn't just leave him stranded, but I waited outside the edge of the forest. When he met me outside he told me there was nothing worse I could do to him than continue being such a hateful father. I told him I was proud of him for making it out of the forest, but that he was grounded and wouldn't have his phone for the next month so that he could get back in his right mind. I was shocked that he would cry over such a stupid little thing, but he needed to learn a lesson, and one day he will thank me for this. When he got home though, what he did next shocked me. Yesterday I took a shower. The first since September 30th, 2017, when I was roped. No one gives you awards for taking a shower. But for me it was like climbing a goddamn mountain. Almost a full year ago, I was roped and left bleeding outside a BDSM club in San Francisco. I was a sophomore in college and had a good life set for me on the West Coast. Until this happened. I thought I had gotten my period the next morning. I would find out it was actually tears and open cuts inside me when I decided to go to the hospital. My chest was bruised so badly the mark didn't go away for almost 2 months. I had been badly hurt, and was put on anti-HIV pills. My mom flew from across the country to stay with me. After a few days, it was decided that I would move back home to heal, and reconsider school in the spring. I was quiet, I slept until 3 in the afternoon, and my nightmares were horrible but the medication for the nightmares made me suicidal. Most of all, I hated my body. I would wear the same outfit 3 days in a row to avoid changing, or change in the dark. The first time I washed my hair was in January, in the sink, crying in the adult psych unit. The nurses washed my hair with buckets over the sink and I felt like I was drowning. I washed my body under my clothes with bath wipes. I managed to wash my hair once a week, or I aim for once a week. The shower is scary. But yesterday I did it. What's the craziest night in bed you ever had? My husband confessed to liking peeing and we decided to try. Worst mistake of my life. I was honestly shocked when he told me his was into the idea of butt stuff and wanting to try it. He's a very old-fashioned and masculine man's man, so not the type at all you'd imagine would be into such things. I figured, why not? I've seen him F me, it doesn't look hard, and I'm not the one taking it. Thankfully he dropped the idea of being in my butt years ago, so why not? Well, we went to the intimacy store, bought a strap, bondage gear and plenty of liquids and gave it a shot. Well, it was hard to ease it into him, but we finally got it in there. He seemed happy and once he loosened up I really started going to town on him. He was tied down and had a ball gag in, which is new, but it's what he wanted. It was hard getting it into him at first, but eventually we got there and I started getting into it and really went to town on him. He was moaning really loud and had multiple orgasms from what I could tell, but then eventually he shook his head to tell me it was time to stop. So I slowly pulled out the strap-on and liquid poop came gushing out of him like a river. All over our beautiful bed, our sheets, the intimacy towel we laid down and my legs and feet. It wouldn't stop coming out of him, so I did the only thing I could think of. I shoved the strap-on back in to stop the flow and made him scream loudly behind his ball gag and really only made it slowly go down. Then I threw up, all over his back and ass, and he threw up all over the ball gag and nearly choked on his own vomit. Thankfully I was able to release it so he could breathe, but of course he continued gagging and vomiting as did I until we were both done. We both were in tears, crying and in shock. He weakly asked me to untie him, so I wiped the poop and vomit off of my hands and I did then slowly pull the strap-on out of his still leaking asshole. We both stood there for a moment still crying and gagging occasionally. He said, "What do we do?" I told him let's just say F it and strip everything. Throw it out and clean it as best we can. We both jumped in the shower to hose ourselves off, then I opened the bedroom door to get garbage bags. Our dog was at the door and missed us, so he rushed into the bedroom and before I could stop him immediately started licking up the diarrhea, vomit, lube and cum mixture. This of course caused my husband and I to painfully gag and dry heave more. I grabbed the dog and sent him outside and we got everything into bags, took off the mattress protector to wash it and threw the bags into the trash, cleaned the carpet where it spilled. Then showered again and brushed our teeth and remade the bed and sprayed air freshener and lit candles. During the whole process, which took hours, we both broke down and cried multiple times. We went to sleep without ever saying a word to each other and barely said anything to each other this morning before work. I haven't seen him yet, but I don't know what he's feeling or if we're okay in our marriage now. I honestly am so disgusted still by the whole experience, and I don't know if I can ever bring myself to do that again.